helps you look at what are those kind of disabling behaviors that you might have present in your organization and that are really taking you in a different direction than what you want to go. It's not a list of right and wrong.
So you talk about new sources of value in IT.
Right.
How does that tie in with obviously with the skills it ties in, but what is that new source of value that we're talking about?
Right, I was talking earlier about the social and mobile projects, for instance. And you have an attention toward the individual, that personalization, that individualization, and so forth. Well, IT doesn't have a lot of people that actually you look at those social and look at the societal kind of changes, look at the behavioral characteristics, so people that know sociology and so forth. And so first off is that you have this attention toward the individual. Then the other piece is that, as I was describing with that project work, it's very iterative, it's very participative, very collaborative, and that doesn't describe a lot of ways of working with inside of IT either. So the new sources of value are, around highly participative, highly collaborative, influence-oriented skills, not control-based kind of skills. And so it's a different way of thinking about things, as well as how do you approach working with people.
Interesting. You mentioned in one of your presentations that the future is different than we think it's going to be. Is that part of it?
Well, we also think in terms of very narrowly defined technical skills, and we've refined positions with inside of IT to be very narrowly defined, very specialist oriented. And the thought process in the future is that you have a developer, for instance, who at the same time as doing development has to be thinking in terms of the architectural situation, what kind, how's this data going to be used? They have to have a much broader awareness and also a much broader competency base in order to do their job. So it's not just a narrowly defined, pigeonhole kind of activity, but it's actually a much broader thinker, being able to contextualize things. And quite honestly, we have to become much more business outcome focused with inside of organizations. And as part of being business outcome focused, you have to kind of see a bigger picture and have to be able to connect what you're doing to that.
Okay, so that's got to start at the top. I mean, it starts with the CIO. So let's talk about what's the new behavior, what's the new CIO look like?
Well, the new CIO has much broader skill set in business and is not just developing breadth of understanding, but really developing a depth of understanding about the business. And that's an essential for their staff as well, to really talk in business terminology and be much more business focused. And the CIO has to really lead that charge, to be very business focused. Then the other part is that the CIOs for a long time have focused on efficiency. And they really have to shift their thinking to effectiveness. And also, as Ken mentioned before, in his keynotes and so forth, that they have to focus on really revenue generation, not just driving out the efficiencies of things.
But that's a big shift. It's a big shift to go from the way we know how to behave to this new behavior. What are the first steps that we should take?
Well, some of the things that we've developed in our research is, for instance, I've developed an IT behavior survey. And this particular assessment helps you look at what are those kind of disabling behaviors that you might have present in your organization and that are really taking you in a different direction than what you want to go. It's not a list of right and wrong. It's really a set of, if you want to develop this particular behavior, you want to develop innovation, you want to enable creativity of your staff, and yet you're still punishing failure, then that's really contrary to what you want. I like to say that it's really a survey about where are you crazy, and the starting point is to start looking at your organization and asking yourself, where are we doing things that are totally contrary to what we want? And the leadership comes in, really addressing those things head on, not just kind of letting them languish, but going after this in a way that says, how do we develop this consistency of purpose and practice?